Hey there, how's it going? Coach Kyle here, and yeah, it's another 2020 recap, but I hope this is a little different than some of the others you've seen, because I'm gonna go deep and I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, what I'm looking forward to from 2020 into 2021. I'm gonna talk about it as quickly as I can in a work, relationship with my wife, relationship with myself, and running points of view. So let's get started and let's dive in. So if you don't know, I'm Coach Kyle and I work with 40-some primarily plant-based distance runners all over the world. It's a remote coaching, remote job, which is fantastic. And it's funny, some runners don't even know that is a thing. And 10 years ago, I certainly didn't know it was a thing either. And I'm gonna kind of talk about how my business has grown and a little bit about how I've been able to do that, as well as my running, myself, how I have grown and some of the things I've done to make that happen. So in my journal here, which I will talk about soon, I do a thorn blossom rose exercise, and you have probably heard about a variant of this where the thorn is something bad that happened, and I do this almost every evening. Something bad that happened over the day. The rose is something good that happened over the day, and the blossom is something that happened that is in development that I'm looking forward to continuing with over in the future. And I'm going to kind of use that format a little bit, talking about 2020. And I'm going to start with work because it's the thing I'm the most excited about. And I cannot believe how I cannot believe how my career has progressed over 2020. And I know it has been a very challenging year for many people. For me personally, 2020 was probably the worst and the best year of my life so far. Kind of one of those things where I wouldn't want to experience it again, but I'm glad it happened because I'm better off because of it. So the big goal of 2020, I had like a Monopoly or a life game piece of cash on under my window above my monitors here, and it was a $100,000 bill. And my long-term goal for 2020 was to make six figures. I wanted to make at least $100,000 in 2020, and I didn't think I was going to do it. But let's go over to QuickBooks here, and I'll show you how much I've made since I started coaching in 2014. So let's switch over. Okay, so here in QuickBooks, all the way back to 2014. In 2014, I made $1,600 in coaching. Incredible. I thought that was amazing. And let's just go through the years. Let's see. 2015, I went up to $4,400. Pretty cool. I think even making $4,000 from a side hustle is pretty neat for most people. 2016, I added $10,000 onto that. And at this point, during this time, most of this, I was working full-time for Scora Running as, managing their social media. 2017, I made $3,400, which again, that was amazing. And I think that was the first year I started focusing fully on my coaching. 2018, $40,000, again, pretty sweet. 2019, $60,000. That was awesome. That was like the first time in my life I really felt that I was making a real living and I was doing it fully on my own terms. But let's check out last year, 2020. I made my goal of six figures on the last day of the year by $265. And just incredible. I cannot believe, I didn't think I was gonna make it. Looking at the income, and it was a tough year, but I made some smart choices. And I'm gonna talk about that quickly too, because part of my business success really ties into my year success as a whole. And it was recognizing that something not great is happening. I lost a bunch of money when COVID hit the US primarily, in the UK, because I lost a few $1,000s in income early on in 2020 when the lockdowns really started happening, because people lost incomes, people were locked down, and I lost a number of clients that first month, and I addressed it head on. It was tough. It was incredibly demoralizing. But what I did was I looked at it in the best possible way I could, and I thought to myself, okay, I have, I don't know, 8 less clients. What should I do? I have, in a positive way, that meant I have more time to devote to something else. And so what I did was I hired some business coaches. I hired a couple business coaches to help me improve my business. So while my work hours were lower because I had lost a bunch of clients, I took that time and I devoted it towards improving my business, and it obviously paid off. It paid off more than I ever thought it could pay off. It paid off. So this hiring of the business coaches really ties into the number one lesson I learned in 2020, and that was that it's okay to ask for help. And going to my running, looking at my list right here, my running, my relationship with Desi and myself, and with work, the common factor was that I spent more money, more time investing dedicated time and effort into improving. The big lesson was that improvement it doesn't just happen. You have to work for it. Sometimes really hard. Sometimes you have to spend money to make it happen. And I did all that, and it wasn't just like spending money. It was an investment, and they all paid off. So with my running, I invested in a running coach, and I cut off 4 minutes from my marathon time. I ran a 2:55 in September 2020, and I had worked with a coach for 3 months prior to that. And obviously it paid off, and I'm really hoping that fall 2021, there's a Boston Marathon, and if there is one there, I'm gonna be there. So let's go into kind of my relationship with Desi and my relationship with myself. And online, we only see the good stuff. YouTubers, these YouTubers with 100,000 followers, 2 million followers, all the way to your cousin who lives in the state next to you. Everybody primarily shares the good stuff, and don't get me wrong, like my life has always been fantastic, great life. Even in the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever, I recognize my privilege from being a white male to the amount of work I have done and put into my business to be able to make this kind of money, working 4 hours a day and being able to travel and spend weeks around the world. And I recognize that, but that doesn't mean everything's perfect. And over the years, I've suffered from depression. I've really, with the depression, and don't get me wrong, again, like 99.9% of the time, I am fine, I'm great, I'm awesome, loving my life. But once in a while, I told my counselor, they were just like low moments where I just shut down. And I was never suicidal, but I definitely had suicide ideation. And it was like, I just wanted to lay down and not get back up. It would have been fine. I wouldn't have cared. And of course, the other 99.9% of my life, totally awesome, just good life. But those instances, they added up with myself, they added up with my relationship with my wife, and it got to the point that In the spring, I spent 3 weeks in Guatemala living at a hostel. That was fantastic. Probably one of the 2 best trips of my life. Desi was here working, and I asked her if I could go travel by myself. And I spent 3 weeks in Guatemala, staying at a hostel. I came back early. I bought my tickets to come back early when they shut down the schools here in town. But when I got back, there was a point. I don't know what it was, some travel, a little extra depression there. And with the typical depression, like it would be maybe a day or 2 every couple months maybe. And it would typically where Desi would, be heading off to school and say something in the morning that was totally innocent, wasn't anything, meant to be negative at all. But for some reason, I would take it in a negative way, and it would literally ruin the rest of my day. But after Guatemala, there was a point where I had a full week where I was just down in the dumps all week long. And it was to the point where Desi, she said, like, you have to change something. We can't keep on like this. And it was like, she was basically telling me, you need to fix it and do something about it, or we're gonna get a divorce. And I knew she was right, because we couldn't continue, I couldn't continue like this. And she's done a lot of work on herself as well, but I needed to do some work on me. And so that was when I hired a counselor, and best decision I've ever made. Hiring that counselor, hiring like my entirety of 2020. Like I said, the lesson learned was investing in help, guidance, tutoring makes a big impact. And it's literally, that idea has literally changed myself, my relationship, my work, my running, all for the better. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's that idea. It's that we need to normalize asking for help. You shouldn't, like my running's been great. I ran a 2:59 last year. A lot of people would say, whew, super, that's awesome. But I wanted to take it a step further. I hired a coach, I ran a 2:55. So, with that counselor, I also picked up dedicated journaling. In the past, I've done a little bit of journaling. I've always meditated intermittently, but in 2020, I really kicked it up a notch, and I started habit tracking, where I would, I keep track of my habits, and it enforces what I want to do, what I don't want to do, and it helps me do the things that I know make me better. It helps me do them more consistently, more frequently. And so not only do I do them, but I'm thinking about how I've done them as well. So like if I take Banjo for a walk or play with him in the morning, and I mark it off later in the day, I get another little boost, because I think about playing with Banjo or taking him for a walk. But if I haven't done it yet, I can mark it in my journal, and I'm definitely gonna go do it. I'm not gonna mark it and not go do it. And so, again, spending time and money and dedicating energy towards doing things that make me better has made me better. And the better it gets, the better it gets. I really believe that. And again, if you take one thing from this video, be open, be more willing to the possibility that it's okay to ask for help, whether it's with a running coach or hiring a counselor or a nutritionist. These are investments in making you a better person. Even something that I've done is I've hired a virtual assistant to help me with a lot of different aspects of my business that I don't need to be the one to actually do. And it goes back to working with a coach or a tutor or a counselor. Part of the benefit of a running coach is accountability and motivation. And with my virtual assistant, everything she does, I've done, I can do, but I don't. With a lot of this stuff, it's like, oh, I wish I could do that, but I don't. It's, I only have a certain amount of bandwidth, time, energy, and with a lot of these things, it's so easy to just not do it. But with her, accountability, even investing in somebody to keep you accountable is huge. And with her, she needs to make a living. And so I get all these tasks done. Like, she schedules a lot of my social media. She writes the transcripts for this video you're watching. She wrote the transcripts. She edited the transcript for it to make sure it was spot on. And with her, she keeps me accountable in doing a lot of these things that I push off, that I don't do, that I procrastinate with. So again, hiring help is an investment that will almost always pay off. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time with this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. I think you're getting the gist that I'm pretty open about my life. So if you have any questions about my past binge eating, which I've thankfully gotten over, with my past depression, with my running my business, I have a group on Facebook, a private group on Facebook, where I kind of help give tips and advice to fellow online running coaches. And again, with the success of my business, something I've really learned is that, Gary Vee says, you don't build the biggest building in town by knocking other buildings down. Build the biggest building by building the biggest building. And I realized that these other running coaches, they're not my competition. I can help other runners by helping other coaches. And one of the best ways to make yourself feel better is to make other people feel better, to help other people. And so that was kind of a game changer for me, realizing that these other coaches, they're not my competition. There are 7.5 billion people in the world. There's plenty of business to go around, plenty of people to help. And if I can help fellow running coaches, then I'm helping more runners. I've even hired a company to help me edit my videos. And you may have noticed, or maybe you've never seen my older videos, they're not great. And I've invested in a nice camera, some soundproofing. It's not great, it'll improve. A good microphone, lighting, and I've invested in somebody to help edit my videos. And again, I signed up for 12 videos a month. So, gosh darn it, I'm gonna try to get 12 videos a month out of it. And so that is really good motivation for me. They're kind of keeping me accountable again, because if I'm paying for the 12 video a month option. So I'm gonna make 12 videos a month. And actually here in 2021, I invested in a group, a tribe of people from all over the world, and it's kind of like a 12-month personal growth, best year of your life course, where every month there's a topic, something to work on, and then every week there's a little micro challenge, journaling prompts, etc., related to that monthly macro view. And so again, I'm investing in things, people, courses, accountability, investing in things that make me a better person. So, okay, let's do it. Thorn, blossom, and rose. Thorns from 2020. Should I even say COVID? I don't know. Thankfully, my wife and I, neither of us has gotten it, as far as we know. And nobody, really close to us has seriously died or gotten seriously sick from it. I've had good friends, clients get it. Thankfully, they're all okay. But the thorns of 2020 for me, I've gotten past them. COVID, the depression that I went through was worse in 2020 than it's ever been. My income, while it's the highest it's ever been, I also experienced the highest drop in income I've ever had. But the roses from 2020, where Guatemala was amazing. I've never gone on a trip like that, even close to that, by myself. And I went to another country I made it 3 weeks before I came back early due to COVID. I was taking Spanish classes there. I was working there. Definitely a highlight. My income, another rose. To hit 6 figures is incredible. Like, I never would have imagined that was an income, coming from a dairy farm in eastern South Dakota, from a town of 120 people. Never in my life did I ever imagine that was something I'm capable of. And I want to keep increasing it. Blossoms from 2020. I have really dialed in my work habits and how I go about working. In December 2020, I started an experiment of a 4-hour work day, and you can see more about that vlog up here, or is it up here? It's up here, and maybe it's up here. It's up here. It's up here. I think. Gosh, which side does it pop up on? I don't know. So in 2020, I started working on a 4-hour work day, and that was a game changer for my business. And you can see more about that up top here. I'll link to that video. And that was a really cool thing that I've done. And dialing in my work habits helps me, gives me more leisure time to work on myself, to work on my relationship with Desi. Everything kind of comes together. But working on myself, my business, the greatest blossom to come from 2020 was that Desi and I were finally at the point in mostly my income that she could quit teaching. And when I hired the business coaches in spring, early summer 2020, I told them I want to make enough money so my wife can quit teaching. It's been a few years building up where 3 years ago she really decided she didn't want to be a teacher for the rest of her life. Spanish teacher, high school freshman primarily, and we weren't at the point yet where we could suddenly be without her income. 2019 we got closer. 2020 COVID was kind of the straw that broke. What is it? The straw that breaks. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. Was COVID, and we got to late, a third of the way through the school year, and when it gets to the point where your wife is crying almost every day, sometimes at school, something's got to change, and we sat down, and I told her, you don't have to keep doing it. Christmas break is coming up in a month and a half. We'll pay the money to break the contract. It was about $1,000. We'll pay the money to break the contract. And yeah, it's gonna be a third of our income gone. But happy wife, happy life. And I told her, I'm willing to bet on you that you can stop teaching. And she wants to be a life coach. She wants to kind of do what I do with runners. She wants to do that she wants to help empower women. And over the last 3-4 years, she's done a lot. She's done a lot of self-work. She's invested in help as well. And it has come a long way. And she wants to help other women through that process, help make other women better. And the ultimate rose, the blossom of 2020 is that with my income finally where it's at, we were able to make that decision that, yeah, let's put in that 45-day notice. So she didn't go back at the end of winter break. She didn't go back to school, and it is already. She said that this last week, and this is just after the new year. This last week, she would have been stressed out, probably crying about having to go back to school. And again, it's a huge array of things coming into play, from anxiety, insomnia. She gets insomnia in the school year, to working with some students that are plain disrespectful. She loves her students. She has some great students, but just takes a couple students to really negatively impact your day. And we decided that was enough. And so here we are. And so I'm tempted. I'm almost to the point where I can mark off we have a mobile life, winter in the warm, because she's not working at the school anymore. So we could go travel whenever we want, and we're probably going to do that in a little bit. But that has been the greatest success of everything, and none of it would have been able to happen by itself. It all had to come together. And like I said, the number one factor in all of this was I wouldn't have been able to do it on my own. I hired running coach, business coach, counselor, etc. And that, plus spending dedicated time and energy doing practices, journaling, meditating, doing things with myself, with others, that makes me a better person, better at my business, a better husband. It all came together to make 2020 the best year of my life so far. And I'm looking forward to what 2021 has in store. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate all your support, even if it's just you watching this video for the first time. If you have any questions or comments about any of this, drop them in the comment section below. Hit me up via email, find me on social media. I would love, if you want to chat, if you want to jump on a video call for 30 minutes or so, email me. I'd be happy to talk. So as always, thank you for watching, and here's to 2021.